Well, howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Monday Morning Coach Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, and we are joined by our awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stallcup, over there in Longhorn Country, Texas. Gonna bring the whole breakdown. We had 2 Texas wins this weekend, and we will probably not hear the end of it. So Daniel will be hearing a lot of
Come on, Daniel, put on there.
yeah,
Say, put some
yeah.
respect on that cowboy name.
Dude, you know he's gonna have to say it. But dude, I'll tell you what. Honestly, the defense won that game for the Cowboys.
I,
Like,
now, did I not say it? I said they're getting their guys back, and they made that trade. They're going to be a different team, and sure enough, they're proving it.
well, we'll see tonight when we do the breakdown. You know, like Daniel. Oh man, it's so funny. And,
Yeah, Eagle fans better.
yeah, that's 100%.
I bet you their fans were going freaking nuts to be up 21-0, and Dallas scores, makes it 21-7. Then they come out after half, and the Eagles didn't do crap. I mean,
So we're gonna notice one of the real staggering statistics that I noticed. What was the number one statistic? Would you guess that the Cowboys did right?
you talking about on offense or defense? On
Uh,
offense, it was just throw it to George Pickens.
well, yeah, dude. Trust me, I'm on fantasy, dude. Dude, I have like the record of the points for the whole fantasy league this week. You know, like
I
it's
tell you
crazy.
what, that game they could have put more points if CD Lamb would have just caught the freaking ball. He dropped the ball like 2 or 3 times. I was like, God dang, CD, you're supposed to be the best receiver on the team. Pickens is wearing you out.
Oh man, Daniel, that's so
Yes,
funny.
we do, baby.
Yeah.
The
Oh man, I'll have
Cowboys
to.
are going to win out. Hey, there's something we need to check on, and I forgot to do it before we came on.
Yeah,
But and maybe
I was trying to
anybody's
get.
watching this.
I was trying to get a bunch of audio. Like I wanted to get the Longhorns. I think they did a halfback pass, and Manning actually caught uh like
Now
a
listen to
halfback
this. I'll
pass.
tell you one. The first time in the history of the Longhorn program, that's the first time a player has rushed for a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and thrown for a touchdown.
Right.
That's something. And
Yeah.
poor Aggies, but hell, Longhorns. We'll talk about Cowboys for a minute.
Right.
The Cowboys, what I want to know is somebody watching the podcast, just comment, let me know, because I'm not 100% sure on this. I've been trying to find it, but I'm picking up different little things as it relates to playoffs. But if you win just your division, so the reason I'm asking this right now, the Cowboys have 1 loss. The Eagles have 2 in the division. If the Cowboys could lose every game left except to win against the Giants and Commanders, does that make them win their division and get
I
into
say yes.
playoffs?
I
I'm
say
not
yes.
100% sure on
Yeah.
that, but I was like, if that's the case, the implications of that game between the Eagles and Cowboys was freaking huge, and I
Yeah.
didn't
So
realize that.
I think I remember like a few years ago where the Bucks got in at like 9-7, and everyone was like mad because they were like the one of the worst lead, one of the worst. I can't remember, like one of the worst division records, like, or one of the worst records in the NFL or whatever. Like they
Yeah.
had basically a losing record, but they still won their division. So
Mhm.
I think the Cowboys still could win their division. I think
Well, I
it's
do too. I think they can beat the Giants and Commanders.
yeah.
And if that's the case, and that automatically gets them in, I'm like, that is freaking unbelievable turn of events, because I was like last week, Cowboys ain't going in, they suck. And then they turn around and play that type of game against the Eagles. I was set because the Cowboys were going freaking nuts. I was thinking, man, they sure are happy. I was sitting there thinking that must be based on division.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I'm gonna
don't.
try to look this up and
Yeah,
see if I can find something on it.
we'll see. Like, I'll tell you what, there was some really good plays. This is one of the plays I wanted. This is how it sounded. Check out this play. You'll like this one.
Now we hear him. Another trick play as Olszewski caught. Olszewski with the pass into the end zone for a Giants touchdown, Jameis Winston.
This is Olszewski. He's going to get the ball on a reverse. I thought it was going to be a reverse pass to the front side. Instead, he's waiting for Jameis Winston, who then gets open, going against Derek Barnes, somehow breaks the tackle, dances in.
So that's how Jameis Winston got like 31 fantasy points. And they actually did a reverse. It was like a weird play. Like, it was a reverse, and then he came back, and then he passed it to him. And I don't even know how that defensive back even gets in the locker room after he got basically burned by a quarterback. Like, basically threw him down and couldn't even tackle him. It's crazy. But that was one of the coolest plays. And like I say, I have Jameis Winston on my fantasy. I picked him up, and so it's pretty funny because that dynasty is just going crazy right now, and there's so much dynasty implications. It's so crazy because I took over a dynasty league from last year, and I basically gutted it. I traded. They had a Lamar Jackson, Henry stack. I traded that, got Stafford. I got Jacobs and Stafford now instead of Lamar Jackson and Henry. That's great, but then for all you guys who started Jacobs, I'm sorry about that because he ended up not playing. I ended up playing Emmanuel Wilson, who's the backup. I told you guys last week, I was like, play Emmanuel Wilson because Jacobs isn't going to start, and then they always mess with you in fantasy, and they act like he's going to start. And then next thing you know, they're like last minute, like, nah, but he'll be ready for the Thanksgiving game. So that's why it's so important to keep like those handcuffs on your fantasy so that if all of a sudden the starter goes down, you have an instant gold mine. And Emmanuel Wilson was like one of my top running backs this week. I think he got like 24, 25. Well, I can't say top running backs because my number one running back was Gibbs, and he got 55 points. So that was pretty awesome. He broke the record for the most fantasy points scored this year, and I think he had like 3 touchdowns and 200 and some yards. He's putting up very standard numbers and just making like Montgomery irrelevant in fantasy to start him. So it's a lot of fun. I really appreciate everyone popping in here, talking football with us, and I'm sure King James is itching to get into college.
Oh, wait. I just found it.
Okay.
It was January 6th, 2025 is put in, and they say each of the NFL's 8 division winners are granted playoff berths.
Yeah.
There's the answer.
So we're letting you guys know there's still time for the Cowboys to choke in the playoffs. They don't have to wait. They don't have to do good in the season.
Hey, they took all them ass whoopings, but they just win 2 more games. They're freaking getting in. I honestly cannot believe it.
All right, I took a big old jump there, but
matter of fact, now that we know that, there's one thing I need to check real quick because. Wow, that is something I was not expecting that. Let's see. Let me go here. Let me go here. Let me go to standings. I'll pick it up. Okay, so I'm just curious to where they're playing. So it'd be tough on them. Their last 2 games of the season are against the Commanders and then the Giants. Right. And they play them at their place.
Right.
So, yeah, that's interesting. That's something I did not know, and I'm glad we checked it just to sort of see. if that was possibly that they could actually make the playoffs just by winning two games. They could lose every other game, still get in with only winning 7 games.
Well, there was like a meme that I checked out like a while back, and Dak Prescott's like, hey Santa, I just want one thing for Christmas, and Santa's like, what do you want, Dak? And he's like, well, I want a purple dragon. And Santa's like, oh, come on, Dak, be a little more realistic. And then he goes, you know what, Santa, I really just want a playoff win. He says, all right, Dak, I'll get you that purple dragon. So,
be okay with me. Let's get it.
Yeah. So that's pretty funny.
Before we go to college, we forgot to do the meme.
Oh, meme. Yeah, there you go.
Let me go and cue that up.
All right. Dude, there was a couple on Sunday that was like, wait a minute. Like, were they called repping the passer? And I thought they were pretty weak.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I mean, that to me, like, they're like, oh, they went low on him. So, like, it wasn't like, they didn't, like, take his knees out or anything. Like, they just tackled him at the ankles. But there was a couple I thought were pretty weak. So, that was pretty funny meme. I'm sure I'll hear it from Milo now.
Well, I think it's time to get into the Texas Longhorn College bias now.
Okay, there we go. It's gonna be coming.
At least I come on and own that shit.
Yeah, it'll be coming up. I can just keep showing the comment over and over and over. Monday morning.
Even Daniel a bit. At least I'm consistent on everything I ever do. Not on football, but also on electrical stuff. So I'm consistent.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like with the electrical stuff, like dude, there's so much stuff that's been coming out, and my eyes have been open since day one. So it's really cool that you had that debate with Weedman, and we'll have debates with you guys over here on football too, and you can call us out, call us bias. It's all good, Daniel. We're all good.
Love it. I love it.
We're all cool. I've like actually sat there and died laughing just thinking about how funny it is when you like compare.
On Monday.
Yeah.
He called me right after the game too.
Yep. 100%. Yep.
I couldn't even. I got family here, getting ready for the holidays. They're staying at my place, and they all went and ate tonight again, and they're like, "You're not going?" I said, "Oh hell no, it's football podcast tonight." I said, "The Cowboys won, the Longhorns won." I said, I got to be on tonight."
Oh yeah, he's got burnout marks in his lawn and everything from Sunday. So yeah, had the crown on top of the golf cart and everything. So
hey, and the great thing is, anybody ever wants to come on this podcast and support your team, that's why we do this podcast, just to come on and have fun. That's why I like doing it. I ain't trying to make no money off this. Bill's not it. We just call it because we like football. And we like to talk football and talk smack and just have a freaking awesome time. So
yeah, Daniel's come on here like a few of the weeks when you couldn't do it. Like Daniel's come on here and we just talk different stuff about the Broncos and stuff like that. And so it's a lot of fun, and we appreciate it. We appreciate all the support. Thanks so much for all the subscribers. We've been getting a bunch of new subscribers, and whenever I see like the views and the likes and stuff, I'm just like, man, this is cool. We're getting a lot of people that like football and hanging out. And I'll tell you what, there's not that many podcasts out there that talk college. My dad was a big high school coach back in the day, and so he knows a lot, like Joel Klatt, a lot of the podcasters now and stuff. Oh yeah. So it's really cool, but we're gonna try to bring the heat and bring some kind of different content that's a little bit of a level up from that. And King James does a really good job setting up the college ranking stuff. So
Yeah, let's get it.
let's do it. It's time for King James's college breakdown and rankings.
Yeah, we got our game of the week we'll get to in a little bit, but Southern Cal, we ain't making it, sorry. One of my friends, he's a real big Southern Cal fan, and he called me. He goes, I can't believe they freaking lost. He goes, freaking losers. I was like, hey, I've been there, brother. You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, they get it's really hard this time of year because one loss and that's pretty much your season. You know, I noticed Notre Dame's up there and like they're looking pretty solid.
One of the things I'm going to talk about here, and I was talking about it before anybody else. I said, y'all better watch out for North Texas.
Yeah.
I was the one that was there.
Yeah.
And
they looked good. They looked like the real deal.
They show, last week we had Texas at 20%, and now they dropped them to 4%. So I'm going to talk about that real quick. They play A&M Friday. Okay, that's going to be a knockdown, drag-out game. It will definitely be the game of the week. It's the best game of the week. But if Texas wins, it gets very interesting at this point. Okay, now I'm going to say I think that this is the way I look at this. Okay, there's no way James Madison and North Texas are getting in, both of them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't think that's going to happen. The playoff committee's not going to do it.
Well, so there has to be at least one from the ACC, right? So you got, who's that, Miami?
Well, I'm going to go through this.
SMU,
I'm looking at if OU loses to Tennessee this week, OU's not getting in probably.
Right.
Then again, they might, but I doubt it. And I was looking at this, and I was trying to come up with the way I thought that this would actually work. Okay? So I'm automatically going to say this. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia, Oregon, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, and Notre Dame, and Alabama. I think that's 9 teams that are getting in.
So you got 3 at-large spots.
So there's 3 going to be left here, okay?
At least one at-large, right?
I think right now the reason Texas is at 4 because they're expecting Notre Dame to win. I mean A&M. If Texas beats A&M, this is where it all starts getting interesting, okay? So BYU wins this week, and they play Tech in the Big 12 championship. I think if BYU loses, I'm not sure they're getting in because their strength of schedule's not there.
Right.
Okay. So this is where it becomes interesting. Let's say OU loses. Okay. And you're looking at the teams that would go in. So 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9 teams, and I think OU wins, they're in. But let's just say they lose. Okay? We got 9 teams we're sitting at. I think one of James Madison and North Texas gets in. Yeah. Okay, that's 10 teams. There's going to be 2 spots left open at this point.
I think there's almost room for some teams like the Mean Green to kind of get in there just because I think that college likes that. Where you have like those teams that have like that real fire, hunger, playing really good football, especially like late in the year.
I think James Madison, North Texas, only one of them are going to get it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think if North Texas wins their conference, I think they're the ones that'll go in before James Madison. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and we always have that Longhorns bias analysis. So
Well,
just keep that in
I'm
mind.
I'm putting everything in here to
I
where you
know.
look at this to where it way I think it what could happen. Okay.
Right.
So that's 10. So there's one team going to come in from the ACC. If Virginia wins out, and this is where you have to sort of look at this. You got Virginia, and you've got Pittsburgh, and then you've got uh, the Yellow Jackets are out. Then you got the Miami Hurricanes, but SMU beat them. So if SMU wins out, I'm sort of curious who is going to be the one that will go in and play with Virginia if they went out at it. But next week's going to determine between Miami and Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh beats Miami, Pittsburgh and Virginia will play.
Yeah.
If Miami wins, then it's going to be Virginia and SMU that'll play each other for the ACC.
Right.
Okay. Now, I find it hard to believe that Miami, if they can't even win their own conference, that they're going to get in. I just, because when you look at their strength of schedule, sure, they've only had 2 losses, but their losses were to unranked teams, and they haven't played anybody that's worth the crap. At the time they played South Florida, the only one they have in there that's a big win was the first game of the year, and that was Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
Other than
and
that,
they've been kind of riding that hype train, and I think it's kind of fading off now because they've been shaky at times. You know, like they made some pretty crucial mistakes on special teams, and you're just like, wait a minute, you're like a ranked team that's making these kind of mistakes. Like I saw some that I'm just like, really? Like it just
well, and
that
that's
shouldn't
what it
happen.
get. That's why I look at this. So if I look at that, and I've got 10 teams in, one between James Mass and North Texas, that leaves 2 spots. Okay,
Yeah.
now let's say Oklahoma lost. Okay, and let's say Texas won. Okay, now
Or Michigan beats Ohio State.
if Michigan beats Ohio State, as far as I'm concerned, Michigan's in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't
Okay,
think it's gonna happen.
I don't either.
I just think there's too much things that they would have to do to get that done.
I agree. So I'm just doing hypotheticals here. Now, if
Yeah.
that happened, I would feel more comfortable looking at the strength of schedules and what happened. Let's just say Texas Tech beats BYU, okay? And you've moved Virginia up into one of them spots that is going to give you number 10, okay? So if you look at it, you've got 6, you got 7, 8, 9, 10, and you got an ACC. That's going to leave one spot. To me, OU needs to win if they want to get in. Okay. But say they lost and Texas won.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be looking at who would you put in there and say Michigan lost to. So you would have OU with 3 losses, Texas with 3 losses. You got Vanderbilt with 2 losses, but I don't think they go in before OU or Texas. So are you going to take and put a 9-2 Miami in above an OU and Texas with their impressive wins? I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and let's say SMU goes to the title game and they beat Virginia, well, then SMU's going to make it. Okay. Yeah. So it's a big game for Pitt this week, for Miami this week, you know, and if Pitt wins this week, that's why I say this, because Pitt, the way I'm looking at it, they would play in the championship game against Virginia, and one of those are going to go in. So it's a big game for Pitt this week and Miami. So you're looking at that last spot, okay? Are you going to put a 2-loss BYU, a 2-loss Miami, a 2-loss Virginia, if if they lost, and a 2-loss Vanderbilt, are you going to put them above a Texas or OU?
Yeah,
I wouldn't. Not the wins that they've had.
No,
I mean,
yeah. When you go to the strength of schedule, you're right.
That's right. So now you're looking at it. I think it comes down. If OU wins, this point's mute, in my opinion. There's your 12 teams. But if OU loses and Texas wins, that changes a lot of things in the way that this breaks down at that point.
Yeah, the one thing that I noticed about OU, their defense had like a lot of really good things that they did, and they capitalized on a lot of opportunities that their defense gave them. But I don't think their offense was all that strong.
They're not, and I think they're going to have. I think Tennessee's going to be a hard test for them.
Yeah,
I think that's going to happen, and if that did happen, I think your 2 strength of schedule at the last at-large 12 spot is going to be, but if OU lost, would be between Texas and OU. Well, who are you going to put in? They went head-to-head, and the committee's going to look at head-to-head, and Texas beat OU.
right.
You see what I'm saying? And Texas beat Vanderbilt. The only other team that possibly they could look at moving up there, in my opinion, would be Miami, but I don't think Miami would get in. Especially, well, they definitely won't get in if Pitt wins.
Right.
So now it becomes very interesting, and I don't think you're going to take and put a James Madison or North Texas above OU or Texas.
Nah.
So
we just had a San Francisco 49er touchdown. Jennings just scored a touchdown for San Fran, so San Fran's on the board early against Carolina.
Well, and that brings us to the AP. You'll see Michigan moved up to 15.
Yeah.
So Michigan was at number 18. They've moved up to number 15, which is really, really good. But see, when I look at this, you're looking up above who you're going to place above them. And this is why I say this. If right now Pittsburgh's at 24, and you look at Miami, they're number 13. If Pittsburgh beats them, Pittsburgh's definitely going to move up. But if you look at them, they got 3 losses, so does Texas. So I'm just verifying all this right now. So now let's say Texas ends up beating A&M, who's number 3 right now. Okay? So we're going to look at who's in front of who. If Michigan wins, I think Michigan's in. Okay, I think they're that 12th spot, but I just have a feeling Michigan's Ohio State's pretty good this year. Mm-hmm. I think if Texas wins, I think they move above. If Michigan loses, definitely move above Michigan. They'll move above Utah. They'll move above Vanderbilt. And if Miami wins, I still don't think they're getting in, but I think they would move above Miami because of strength of schedule. And then if you look there, you got BYU. Okay? If BYU wins, which I expect them to, they go to the Big 12 championship and they lose to Texas Tech again, I think they're out.
True.
Okay? So looking at that up there, all those teams we just mentioned, top 10, Oklahoma's number 8. They have to win this week. If they win, they're in. Okay?
Sure.
I mean, yeah, they're in. You'll see they got Tennessee at 18. Tennessee's thinking they have a chance going 9-3, but their strength of schedule is not there, in my opinion, because if you look at Tennessee, they're 4-3 in conference, but Tennessee wait a minute. Tennessee plays Vanderbilt this week, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's LSU.
Okay.
I was just thinking I had it wrong. It's LSU that Oklahoma's playing. And now let's say Tennessee wins, they beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt drops out automatically. Now you've got an 8-3 Tennessee team, and say Oklahoma lost. Who would you put in before Oklahoma or Tennessee? Well, you're going to put Oklahoma in because they beat Tennessee.
Right.
Okay, so Tennessee's not going to make the jump, and I will say Texas is 16. They're not going to jump Texas if Texas beats A&M. That's not going to happen. So the only other one that's setting up there, in my opinion, at this point is BYU, and that goes to their Big 12 championship game. They have to win to get in, and BYU, if they beat Texas Tech, I'm going to say BYU gets in automatically because they won their conference.
Yeah,
So,
and the one thing is, like, when you look at, there's certain things that I really like about BYU. Like, I really like their coach. I think he's a pretty cool guy, and he's always just real positive no matter what they're doing.
sure.
And I like that with, like, the kids out there, and like the way that those coaches are, like, developing their squad, and that's the one thing I really like about BYU. They just
sure.
have that real positive attitude, regardless if they're making mistakes or doing stuff wrong.
So this is where it gets in. You look at the top 10. If they win out, there's 10. And then you get one at large, and then you get an ACC team. That's 12.
Right.
So there's some things have to happen here. But personally, looking at this and what I'm looking at, Oklahoma, you need to win. If you don't win this game, then I don't think you're getting in.
I agree with that 100%. And I don't really know that they have, like, that strength. I look at, like, some of these teams and just look at how they're just dominating. A&M really did not have a great game last week. And, I think that they're looking a little tired. Basically on both sides of the ball. So we'll see how that plays out for Texas coming up.
I think it's going to be a great game.
I do too.
And that's why I'm saying when you look at this is going to be very, very interesting to what actually takes place because I think they're going to win, but it's always a knockdown, drag out. Alabama this week, they got to play Auburn, and Auburn. I'm just saying, Auburn is they're 5-6 and they're 1-6 in the SEC, and I understand that, but like they played Vanderbilt, they lost 45-38. And they played A&M, they lost 16-10. Georgia, they lost 20-10. I'm telling you, in Auburn and Alabama, it's a knockdown, drag out every time they play. Alabama, if Alabama loses this game, and this is why I'm saying this week's going to be really interesting. If Alabama lost that game, I'm telling you right now, they're not getting in.
Yeah, the Auburn Tigers, I think, just became bowl eligible last week, so they do have something to play for, just like we were talking about last week with some of these teams, LSU and different teams like that. They have some stuff to play for.
Sure, they do. Every team does.
What bowl they're gonna get into or whatnot.
And I'll tell you, I think it'll be interesting to see, but I've been watching how they've been playing the last couple of games and how much better they're getting. I think Stanford is going to give Notre Dame a game.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, they always play tough. I mean,
and that brings back another point here. This is why it's important. If Notre Dame lost that game, they ain't getting in.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
100%.
There's a lot that's going to be taking place this week that are big games. And depending on what happens this week is going to determine who makes that playoff.
Mm-hmm.
100%. I love this because, when you come back and you look and they show the all-state playoff predicator and all of that, you start seeing where they got percentages, but a lot of these percentages are based on them thinking a team's going to lose.
Yeah.
So
I 100% agree with that. I mean, if you just ask me straight up, like, if I thought that you needed a GFCI at Texas A&M, I'd be like, hell yeah, you do. But then when you bring Texas there, I don't know. Might not need GFCI anymore if you hardwire it. So,
well,
just bring
sure.
up those, electrical references, and show how, you know what? You might not be needing GFCI over there at A&M so much, So they might have their shield and their armor broken
Well, sure.
against
And this is
Friday
the way
night.
I look at it. The reason when you look at this here, they've got Pittsburgh at 3%. Well, why is that? Well, they got them at 3% because they're playing at Miami this week.
Right.
Okay. And if let's just hypothetical, Miami beats Pittsburgh. Who's SMU play this week? They play California at California. I don't care where they play California, SMU's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So if Pitt loses, then it's Virginia versus SMU.
Right.
In that game. And when you look at Virginia, they got their last game of the this week. They're playing Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech doesn't look all that great.
Right.
And I think they're going to beat Virginia Tech. So now you're going to go into that and you're looking at SMU and Virginia playing, or it's Virginia and Pittsburgh. So whatever happens, if Pittsburgh happened to beat Miami, Miami's definitely out.
Yeah.
So then that brings Virginia and Pittsburgh to play for one of those spots.
Yeah.
So when you're
100%.
looking at this here, you see you got your top 10 there, and then one of them go in, and then you got an at-large. There's your 12 right there. Doesn't matter what the ranking is or anything. That's how it's going to be set. Now the interesting part is up here. Notre Dame needs to win, Alabama needs to win, and Oklahoma needs to win.
Yep. Must win.
And if they win, all three of them win, you're set. If one of them loses, now you're looking at adding one more up there. And that's why I say if Michigan wins, they're getting that last spot. If Texas wins, Michigan loses. Utah is not going before any one of those two teams. I don't care because they don't have the strength of schedule, and neither does Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt has got to play Tennessee this week, so they got a tough game anyway.
Yeah, and I would actually be surprised if OU gets by LSU. LSU's no slouch of a team.
No, they're not.
I
mean, their record doesn't show good, but LSU actually has a pretty decent team.
Yeah,
and
100%.
When you look at LSU, sure they're 3-4 in their conference and everything, but when you're looking at who they lost to Vanderbilt 31-24. A&M whipped them pretty good 49-25. But when they played Alabama, it was 20-9, and they played Arkansas and only won 23-22, and Texas just beat the hell out of them. But when they played Ole Miss, it was 24-19.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a beat the hell out of them game, but
well, sure it was. That second half, Texas wore them out, man.
Yeah, no, they did. The score was pretty close. I was just joking. I was just bringing up.
It was close in the first half, and then they come out at half, and the great teams that have the athletes and stuff, that have the best talent. You look at, I've seen so many games where you have an All-State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, all of them, Oklahoma. Look how close the games are.
Yeah.
In the first half, a lot of times against teams that shouldn't even be in the game, but come second half, all that talent and stuff starts wearing their ass down.
True.
It's just a fact.
100%. Yeah. I was just giving you a hard time, I always have to do it. Daniel was like, oh man, you get the freaking laughter in there. I was like, oh yeah, I got it in there. So.
And then there was only a big game that was played this week, and that was the Trojans, USC playing the Oregon Ducks, and in my opinion, I watched the game. Oregon just beat the hell out of them. There's no other way to say it. They just Oregon outplayed them.
100% correct.
You know, they had 436 total yards, but what hurt USC was their 2 interceptions.
100%. Yeah, that was not cool.
When you come in and you sort of look at it, Dante Moore, he played really good. He had 1 interception, but when you look at it, USC couldn't even run the ball. They had 52 yards, mainly where they got most of their yards was passing the ball. And if you look at Oregon, they ran for 179 yards.
True. Yeah.
I mean, that is something right there. And
well, it's not just so much the yards there. It was at key times, like they picked up the first down, kept the drive alive. You know,
that's right.
Like that kind of stuff, like means a lot. And I look at those kind of trends, like when we go into fantasy. So me and King James are gonna kind of look into this going into fantasy for like next season, and try to get you guys a draft class of like who you should draft for fantasy next year based on some of these statistics. Like, is this Oregon running back gonna be, you know, a value in like the 3rd or 4th round? You know, and we'll look at that kind of stuff and we'll compare it. And I know the trends, and I know I've looked at, like, you know, all of my fantasy is doing great right now. And so I'll be able to see that, like, hey, yeah, you're right. And King James knows the draft class and stuff, you know. So we're going to try to bring you guys that for the off season and coming in the future to help you guys have that jump on fantasy, you know.
Well, one of the things that I want to do as soon as we'll probably here in December, 1st December, they will have the recruiting classes. A lot of the kids will already be signing and everything, their letters of intent. I plan on going over that. I think it's important to sort of go through that and show who got who and is moving, you know, as far as draft picks are concerned, or recruits are concerned. Yeah. I keep up with that pretty intense.
Yeah, and that's what's awesome, because that can easily translate to the fantasy world, and that's what we live on. Like, I totally forgot what fantasy was about. Like, I won the championship last year, and I was all happy. I won 3 championships out of 4 leagues, you know? And it was pretty fun. But what I noticed I did wrong this year was last year I would make all the same moves. So, like, if I thought somebody was, like, a good move, I'd make all the moves in all the same leagues, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it really did help me out, because then if I hit big, I hit big in all the leagues, you know? But this year, I've been kind of trying to be diversified and just do it differently, you know? And just be like, I'm gonna gamble on this guy over here and then not gamble on that guy over here. And it's hurt me and helped me in different ways. I mean, it's really weird. In 2 of my leagues, I'm just getting crushed every week. Like, I'm scoring massive points, but just not winning, you know?
Yep, that happens.
You know, and so it is what it is, but in the dynasty, I'm doing really good. And part of the reason I'm doing good in the dynasty is because I have a lot of moving pieces, and I'm moving them all the time. You know, and I'm just like, you know what? I picked up Emmanuel Wilson this week, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so then, since it's dynasty and everything, and I'm taking a page out of my book where I'm like, all right, well, if I make that move over here, I picked up Jacobs. Jacobs was injured, and then I picked up Emmanuel Wilson. Then I'm like, all right, I got to do that over on the other dynasty league, so I have both of them, you know?
Sure, and one of the things I also like doing this, because you go in and you start seeing certain players, how they've developed over time, who are the good receivers and who are the good defensive tackles, defensive ends, and things like that. And we will take and talk about the 5 stars and 4 stars and everything that were recruited. And then, I keep up with some that I think are going to be really underrated players as far as the recruiting goes. But it's one thing we're going to look at that, but we'll also come in and we'll talk about the portal additions that colleges are going to add. And then once the playoffs and everything are over, we'll take week by week and look at probably do like the top 15 and then the next 15 after that, talk about the players that are going to be available in the draft.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of rumors that 26 is going to be a weak draft class, but like the thing that's funny is they're just going off of like what they think,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's really cool because you get guys like me and King James where I'm actually involved heavily in the fantasy world and I know who I'm going to take a chance on when it comes to, I have Ted McMillan going right now. He hasn't been the greatest. I had a Bookba, a Big Boo? Big Boo? No, I'm just kidding. I had Amika Bigba, and the thing is that basically he has been a really good rookie. Like, I think he leads all rookies. So I'm not ashamed to have him on my team. He didn't do that great this week. I think he only got like 6 or 7 fantasy points. So everyone's like, Amika Big Boo, and it's just a joke and everything. But in all actuality, he leads rookies. I'm not ashamed to have him on my team. Baker had a shoulder injury. Not trying to steal the college scene from you, but just trying to emphasize that all this stuff goes hand in hand when it comes to who's coming up from that college world. You see them as prospects, and then I see them as fantasy assets for the next season for 2026. So we're trying to kind of morph that together, kind of get that together because to me, I see it. I see your vision where you're like, hey, this is a good prospect. And I could be like, hey, it depends on kind of what team he goes to. You look at like Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley was a cheat code last season for running back. I mean, you put Saquon Barkley in running back, you're going to win that week. This year, not so much,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of rough. Then I was going to tell you that was the number one thing that the Cowboys did right was I think they held Saquon Barkley under like 50 yards. I think they held it. They held it pretty hard. We'll see on the stats when we go check it out. But that was one of the stat lines I wanted you to kind of research because they held him like pretty hardcore. Like if you look at like the rushes per attempt and stuff like that, and like he had passing, they had check downs, all that, and it was like 3, 4, 2, 1. You know what I mean? Negative 14, whatever. I was just joking, but like -5, -2, like 5. Like you don't get like -2, then 5, and then call that a win. You literally only got 3 yards. So that's what we're going to try to look into. I really appreciate you kind of wanting to do that angle, King James, as far as going from the college side and looking at the NFL fantasy side and seeing who could be valuable in that draft class because, dude, I love Ted McMillan. Like, Ted McMillan's doing great, And he's not producing at a high level or anything, but it's still better than some of the veterans that don't produce. Like Jameson Williams had a really bad goose egg again. When you have those goose eggs in fantasy, it crushes you.
So, you ain't kidding, it does.
You at least need to get something. So, not trying to steal the show from you, but I just want to kind of emphasize that that's what we're going to be trying to do as a podcast in the future is emphasize how these college prospects factor into NFL fantasy and the 2026 draft class.
Oh yeah, and I'm going to really enjoy that because one of the things I've done for God ever since I was real little, I used to always get especially here in Texas, we would get a lot of people in Texas know this magazine. It's Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and it goes over all the top 300 recruits in the state of Texas. Every year I've been getting that since I was probably 14 years old.
Nice.
So it's, I've got all the copies in there and everything, man. I always keep up. But now with the
Are you serious, Daniel? Really? Come on, man. Like the Texas bias again? All right. Oh, man.
But with internet and stuff now, you're able to keep up with recruits all around. And one of the things that you really starting to notice with a lot of teams, they're recruiting all over the country now. The colleges, they used to really focus on their own backyard, and now they just recruit everywhere. So
yeah, 100%. But I just wanted to emphasize that I thought it was really cool, kind of that angle that you brought up, and I think it would be really cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
Like we could even start a segment like fantasy scouts, like and then what's really cool is like when you scout out somebody like Ted McMillan or something like that, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we scouted them out. We said they'd be a good fantasy player. We got them on our fantasy team, and we're winning championships.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. A lot of fun.
Well, back to the game. This was the defense. Oregon had 1 sack, but they had 6 tackles for loss. If you look at USC, they didn't have a sack and only 2 tackles for loss. And like I said, Oregon had 2 interceptions and USC had 1. But overall, Oregon outplayed them. No way to go about that. And both of them had 3 punts. Nothing. There was really no huge kick returns. There was 1 big punt return that was for a TD by Oregon that Malik Vincent, he took it back 85 yards. But other than that, that was it. And Oregon had 6 touchdowns, and he kicked all 6 extra points. There's your difference. So
nice.
That sort of wraps me up for the game of the week and everything that took place. And next week is going to be fantastic because we're going to be talking about who actually is going to be making the playoffs, and we'll know what took place next week. So,
well, NFL too, with like our power rankings and everything, like there's gonna be some teams that are gonna have a walk down the shore.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that where you like they put you on the horse and then they like put the bag over your head and then they slap the horse and then just runs off in the woods? Like that's what's gonna be happening like next week, you know what I mean? Like So I hope it's not the Cowboys. I hope the Cowboys still have life, but like I say, the Cowboys have a really good ending schedule, Like, what do y'all got? Like 6 games left? 5 games left?
The Cowboys. Let me look here because
what's your remaining?
I know this coming week they Thursday, I think they play Kansas City for Thanksgiving.
So we have a Thanksgiving fantasy that we do. A family Thanksgiving fantasy. So we have the Bengals and Ravens. Cowboys.
I think the last Cowboys 4 games for Dallas, or they could win them, and I think they can beat the Chiefs. But they play the Chiefs and they play the Lions, and I hadn't been that impressed with the Lions lately. And then they got the Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, and Giants. So I think they could. I think there's a good possibility they could get 4-6 out of that, maybe 5 of 6,
Yeah.
possibly.
I could see that. Like, I don't see him being a real challenge against the Commanders. Like, I know last season there was a lot of, like, special teams and Jaden Daniels and all that stuff with the Commanders that what made it a little bit more scary for him, but
Well, just
scary Terry.
hypothetically, say they won um, uh, based on that. If they won, they got 6 games left.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
was thinking. Everyone's pretty much got 6 games left.
Yeah, so they have 6 games left. If they were able to win 5 of those, they go 10-5-1. That's a respectable thing there, and that means they beat the Commanders and Giants. But say they won 4 of those games, that would give them 9 wins, but they would be the division champions. They automatically go in.
I agree with that.
If you look at the division right now, Dallas is 3-1. The Eagles are 2-2. So if they win those, they'll go 5-1 in division. That gets them in. That's why division games are so important.
I 100% agree with that. I think the Broncos kind of hold some cards on that one. I think we did lose the Chargers so far, but we'll see how that plays out because, like, even though the Chargers' overall record ain't that great, they've been losing a lot of games, so we'll see how that pans out. I have a lot of stock in Chargers fantasy. They have a lot of fantasy value when it comes to Kamani Vidal, Marion Hampton, and that's what we're gonna try to do in this next off season is kind of come in there, get under the scenes, and figure out who those players are gonna be. That's gonna make you fantasy relevant when it comes to this time of year because I'm getting ready. I need to win 2 games. I need to win week 13 and week 14, and I'm going to have a first round bye going into the fantasy playoffs. So to me, that's what I'm looking at, and I was not looking great with the draft. Like, I didn't draft very good. Like, it was just because I didn't know all the players, all the veteran players, whatever, who was going to do good. But that's what happens to be, like, a good fantasy player is you just evolve. And you just kind of roll with the punches. And you're just like, oh, well, that guy didn't do good. And this guy didn't do good. Drop him, pick up this guy. And when you have these names that are coming in the 2026 draft class, it's going to be really helpful because you never know. We run like a DST league where we have defensive players in there. So we could even have defensive players in there as prospects, stuff like that. And those could come out, be surprises, and be league winners for you, especially in like Dynasty and other stuff like that. Not even people that do redraft, but people that do the Dynasty, just rookie draft. Then you're going to have... I pretty much gave up a lot of my picks for 2026 just based on a kind of a weak draft class, but I kept a lot of second rounds, kept a lot of third rounds, so we'll see. And then what we're going to do, me and King James are going to try to go in there and analyze who these prospects are and pick you guys up second round, third round gems that you can get onto your team and then just be that league winner for you in the 2026 Dynasty.
Well, as far as the Chargers, they got the Raiders this coming week. But after that, they have to play the Eagles, Chiefs, and Cowboys, Texans, and then Broncos. That's 5 freaking hard games right in a row.
Yeah.
And if they beat the Raiders and Chiefs, it's going to come down to where y'all go into conference play at that point because they play the Broncos at the end. And that's one of the games they won 23-20. But when you look at the division, that is going to bring y'all – right now you're both they're 3-0 in division. Y'all are 2-1 Denver. So if y'all beat them at the end and both of you won the rest of your divisions, your tied divisions, then you go to conference, you're 6-2. So if you, in your conference, if you had the same record, then it'll go to overall record, and y'all, right now, y'all would be ahead of them.
Yeah, I think that game is going to be 100% irrelevant. Like, either we're going to be out or they're going to be out. Like, one or the other. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're in or they're in or anything like that. But I'm saying that depending, like, the Chiefs are not done. Like the Chiefs could win some important games, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see how that plays out. I mean, like I say, this is why I love football, because it's so much fun. It's so much challenge. Like, we're only, I think, a half game behind the Patriots right now. And I don't know how we're a half game behind when they have a better record than us. You know, we got to buy everything.
I'll tell you another one that could, and this is a good one to think about right here, is right now, if you look in the NFC West, the 49ers are 4-1 in division, and the Rams are 2-1. Okay, so when you look at the what the Rams have left, they don't play the 49ers again. So if the Rams went out in their division, I was looking to see who they got here. So in that division, we got Seattle and Arizona. Okay, so let's see who they got left. Seattle. They got Arizona and they play Seattle. So they got two more in there. Well, they play the Cardinals twice, and then they play. I think they'll win both of those, and then Seattle will be their tough game right there. So hypothetically, let's just say the Rams, they lost one more game to Seattle. Okay, Seattle's already got 2 losses in conference, so that'd make both of them 2 losses. In San Francisco, the last game that they have left in conference is the Seahawks. So if they beat the Seahawks, that would put the Seahawks out. So let's see, that's the only one they have. So that would put them at 5-1 in conference. So if the Rams lost one more in conference, actually your division winner would be the 49ers, even though Los Angeles might have a better record than them.
And the 49ers are winning currently. So I guess let's just go into the NFL segment.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. You're able to go through and look at all that. All right.
That is. Now it's time for Willie's NFL breakdown, power rankings, and fantasy. So we had a really awesome week. Different kinds of teams stepping up to the plate, and I actually agree with this 100%. The LA Rams are the number 1 team in the NFL right now. I'm kind of a little bit in disagreement with the Colts being number 2. And this is really hard because you have your top 5 teams right now in NFL. You have the Rams, the Colts, the Eagles, the Seahawks, and the Broncos. Now, it's kind of a little bit of a debate if the Eagles are going to drop by losing to the lowly Cowboys. It's a little bit of a debate if the Broncos are going to move up. I think the Broncos are a top 5 team, but I just feel that the Patriots possibly could be higher than the Broncos. I'm not trying to be like a biased, fan here, but I I don't know. I don't know that the Broncos really earned that top 5 status yet. The fourth quarter magic's real. They do have a true shot being the top seed in the AFC. The Colts, the offense still isn't great. They got Danny Dimes throwing stuff around. He's doing great, but I'm not 100% sold on the Colts. So I could see them kind of swapping a little bit. I could see the Colts dropping. I think it would be good for the Colts to drop a little. And then you look at these 1, 3, and 4 teams. They're all NFC divisions. So you have the Rams, you have the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, they kind of had a little bit of a bad Sunday, but man, JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba just caught everything. Like, dude, he was incredible. He's the only wide receiver that has 100 yards and a touchdown on every game this season. So it's really crazy. And then I think he had 2 touchdowns. Like, it was ridiculous. But it's hard because you have fantasy players, Rashid Shaheed, you have other players that are on that Seahawks team that are just not producing. I think Rashid Shaheed had 1 point or something like that, You had Barner, who's a tight end on the Seahawks. He had 4 points or 2 points or something. So it's really hard. And then, on my fantasy, sorry, all you haters who don't have JSN. I had JSN, and dude, he crushed. Dude, I'm gonna have the highest fantasy score I've ever seen in my life just because of that. Then when you go into this next batch of 5, where you go from the 6 to where do we go from the 6 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 6 to the 9th spot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it wasn't clicking over. I don't know why it wasn't clicking over.
Or the 6th to the 10th spot. You have the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to move up. Bills, I think, are pretty solid right where they're at. Josh Allen actually crushed it last week, but he just didn't have that great of a week this week. Patriots, Drake May did not play super solid against what does Daniel say? The AFC playoff going through Denver and in January. Yeah, dude, I would agree. I'd agree with that. And
I think so too.
I will get tickets, bro. We'll be there. Yeah. And,
no, they're number 1, brother.
Dude, that's so hilarious. So then we got the Lions, which, dude, the Lions actually played a solid game. That was really weird. There was a lot of really weird things that happened with that. The Lions playing the Giants, and it was really weird because Gibbs was putting up Barry Sanders numbers. It was ridiculous. But Lions looked okay, and I think they're pretty much fine. I think they should move up. We have the Packers. I think the Packers are going to move up. They're looking playoffs. They've been looking playoffs for a long time. And who are they trying to be ominously against when it comes to playoffs is the 49ers. And, the 49ers currently leading 7-3 against the Panthers. And like I say, that kind of stuff is kind of what me and King James are talking about. You have right there your top 10 teams, and all that's going to shift. Some of those teams could jump out. Some of those teams could pop back in. But then we go from our teams that are 11 through 15, and we go over to the Steelers. The Steelers are dangerous in the AFC. Aaron Rodgers, I think he had some kind of a wrist injury. I don't know if it was it was some kind of a wrist fracture or something, but they're saying that he could potentially be back for week 13. Tampa Bay Buccaneers did have a major quarterback injury with Baker Mayfield going out with a shoulder injury. So we'll see how that is going to affect them. Emeka Ibuka did not have a great game. He, just was not targeted as much. Looked like Teddy Bridgewater was targeting him, so we'll see how that goes. The Baltimore Ravens are still in the hunt. They are actually, pretty. I think they're like one game back in the division from the Steelers, so that's not too bad. But Lamar Jackson is playing. He looks like he's playing hurt. He's not running. He's not running the ball. He's not doing like the Lamar Jackson things that he does. He's
That's
not.
right.
I think he's completed like one touchdown pass in like 4 games or something. That's not Lamar Jackson like. So hopefully they get that turned around. The Bears are actually kind of getting okay in the black and blue division up there. They are actually playing some decent football. They were not even close to this last season. They have some weapons that's going off. There was a few different things that they did good that I really liked about them. Monongai got a touchdown. There was a few things. Swift didn't really have a great day, but I think they won. I don't remember, but I think they won.
They did.
But like when you look at that, getting a 7-3, maybe 8-3, whatever, that's pretty crazy for the Bears. And I think the Bears are actually leading the division.
They are, but in their they're got the best record, but in their division they're not doing that great.
Yeah, 100%.
I think in division they're 1-2, and the Packers are 2-0, and then Detroit's 1-2, and then Minnesota's 2-2.
So then we had an elimination game basically between the Chiefs and the Colts, and this was like really crazy game. And I don't know how the Chiefs won this game. Looked like the Colts just did a few mistakes at the end of the game as far as like game management and stuff, and really just, I mean, that whole, I don't know if I've told you this before, James, but that Red Kingdom over there in Kansas City, like that's a really hard place to play. Like
Yeah,
nobody's gonna play a really good game over there, but they somehow hung in there. Kelsey actually looked decent, like not bad. So I mean, Kelsey's been hanging in there. You go into the Jags, like the Jags are holding tight here. They're holding tough, and like I say, they have a chance to be in that playoff hunt. Chargers are kind of fading a little bit. Like Chargers have had some big losses. Like sitting at 7-4, that's not really where you want to be sitting, especially against the Jags. Chargers had a bye this week, so we'll see if the Chargers and Broncos had a bye this week. So we'll see if they can get healthy and go off. Texans just came off a big win and got another big win. Close victory. So that's crazy that they get like 2 in a row. And like I say, sitting at 5-5, man, like for them to win 2 straight. CJ Stroud's still out. Like they had Mills in there, so that's gonna be interesting to see what they do there. But I look to see this Texans defense kind of step up and take over when it looks like there's a lot of weapons that are gonna not be available for the Texans. But then the Carolina Panthers are playing right now, sitting at a 6-5 record. They got Ted McMillan, and Vince Young has been playing his tail off. So, like I say, the Panthers are not really going anywhere, and you see that the 49ers are in that big dance. And then, of course, I cannot get out of here without mentioning the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott and um, Pickens, and I cannot get out of here without mentioning that CD Lamb had like about 5 drops, and some were touchdown drops, and I don't know. I don't know what to do about the whole CD Lamb thing. From a fantasy standpoint, it's really frustrating because I drafted George Pickens, and it's been paying off dividends for me. I love that George Pickens pick. I think he was like 11 for 116 or 117 and a touchdown or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And CD Lamb was like 5 for 60 and no touchdowns. So that's pretty rough when that's supposed to be your number one over there. But that kind of, I try to encompass a little bit of that fantasy in there at the same time.
Well, the Dak Prescott has a lot of weapons. If they can get it going and that defense picks up, they're going to be tough. And we'll see. We'll see come Thursday. They're playing Kansas City. We'll see.
Dude, they had one where Ferguson had like a touchdown and he just fell like a couple inches short. You know, so this just gives you a little breakdown of all the whole league wide, breakdown of all the different power rankings, and you'll probably notice that the Broncos are number one. But that's just one team that's number one up there. But you know. You look like we got a couple games on the Chargers, and King James is right. Like when it comes down to those divisional matchups, and we start dropping some games going down the pipe here, like Colts are starting to get a little. Like the Colts were number one in the AFC, and then you see they're tying up with different teams, and then, you have the Patriots coming in. So, to me, honestly, I think the Broncos-Patriots is going to be your AFC battle this season, But we'll see how that pans out. And I would love to see another, battle between the Broncos and Patriots. And especially at Mile High, with the Patriots have to come in here, I think that'd be awesome. So we'll see how that plays out. But like I say, there's a lot of what your power rankings are looking like. And just like King James says, next week we will see who comes out. And what does Daniel say?
I said number one, baby.
Yeah, there you go. But our game of the week was pretty awesome. Like, it was so fun to watch. It was Rams and what was it?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, Bucks. Rams, Bucks. But the thing was that the thing I was blanking on was a lot of guys say, "Oh man, that's the Kroenke," and so I didn't know this, but the Kroenkes actually have the Rams, the Avalanche, and then I guess they have like some soccer team over there overseas in like UK or something. But it was the Kroenke teams. Rams looked really solid. Like they just took it to them. I'm a Matt Stafford owner on fantasy, and Matt Stafford basically got his whole night done in the first half. I think he had like 21 points. 3 touchdowns. Actually, the Rams running didn't really do much after the first half, which was really surprising. Even Blake Corum didn't have much. So that's interesting from like a fantasy standpoint, because if you don't get like those fantasy points in like the first half or anything, that was really what was surprising to me about Williams not having a bigger day, because the game was over pretty much at halftime. They put up 31 points by half. That's pretty good, So it was pretty much just game script at the second half and everything. And when you look at there was a few things that happened. You know, let's see. So basically what happened was Baker Mayfield got like a shoulder injury. They don't think it's very serious. They think he's going to play. But he got like a shoulder injury, and so he was pretty much out. They had to bring in Teddy Bridgewater, and at that point, pretty much the Bucs were out of the game. So you know, it was 31-7, pretty much done. Not much game script we could really talk about, but the game of the week was really awesome because the number one team in the NFL played like the number one team in the NFL. So
those two interceptions made a big difference to that start. But when you look at it, the defense really pretty much dominated. They had 4 sacks and 7 tackles for loss, where Tampa Bay only had 1 sack and 3 tackles for loss. And y'all have heard me say it many times: turnovers and sacks and tackles for losses will give you a pretty good description of what took place in that game. And the reason I say that, because if you go back here, if you look, Tampa Bay, they had the ball for 31 minutes and 48 seconds compared to 28 minutes and 12 seconds for Los Angeles. So if you look at it, you think, oh, wow, I bet that was a close game. But then you come over here and you look at these other stats and see what took place, those interceptions. Yeah, you may have held the ball, driving it down and doing your thing, controlling the clock and everything, but then you throw 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
That will completely change the game.
And that's not a good game script for Baker Mayfield, I actually traded Baker Mayfield away in Dynasty, and I was like, oh, man, I felt bad about it. But then I had Stafford on the other side of the ball that I traded, and I was like, I think I'm all right,
Yeah.
But it's so much fun doing that. And like I say, we will continue to push towards the playoffs and try to bring you how the Cowboys can choke in the playoffs. What did I say? I mean how the Cowboys can win in the playoffs. I didn't mean choke. I didn't mean to say choke.
Hey, I just want to win the division now. I don't care about the rest of the games.
All right. Sounds good, brother. You're a good sport. Appreciate you. Let's move on
to the final countdown. I wonder who's in the final countdown that come back down 21 points. We shall.
So let's go right to the audio. Let's right away.
The Cowboys trying to pull off a 21-point comeback. 45 seconds left. Blitz coming. Prescott over the middle. It is caught. In stride. George Pickens again. And he's down to the 21. Wow. Cowboys were 21 down, trying to pull off the comeback. Aubrey from 42 in the win. Aubrey up, and he's got it! The Cowboys win, and maybe Nealon looking down from above.
So I wanted to do a rest in peace to Nealon, Cowboys player who lost his life, committed suicide tragically, and so they said that in there that he was like looking down from above. That's really awesome. I like hearing that, and like I say, this was really crazy because You guys heard it there. Really crazy. My fantasy player just went down the field and got him in field goal position. And I have a prediction about George Pickens. He's going to be the most paid wide receiver of anybody in the NFL on the offseason. Like, he's going to get a contract. Doesn't matter where. He's going to get paid. So, I think it's pretty awesome. I like how George Pickens, did kind of positioned himself when it comes to this different kinds of stuff. But, like I say, that was really awesome. That was really cool. Really special. They won it for their player that they couldn't win it for because he just didn't want to win it for the team, and that's rough, man. It's really rough when somebody commits suicide like that and nobody knows why. Nobody knows any of the reasons, and it's very tragic. He was a very young gentleman, and so rest in peace. And that was really cool that we're able to end the show like this, and really appreciate you, King James. Really appreciate you, being a good sport. Like, we bust on the Cowboys a lot. It's really hard to bust on the Broncos because they're almost unbustable. But
I think DJ loses freaking mind. Cowboys lose every game left except for 2, make the division, and go and win the Super Bowl. It loses freaking mind over that.
Well, we'd probably be sitting together, playing y'all in the Super Bowl. So
wouldn't that be something?
That would be. Oh man, that'd be crazy. So awesome, man, and I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. We didn't want to go too long tonight, but I really appreciate it, King James. We got to go watch some football, man. This thing's getting ready to go. So thanks so much for joining the Monday Morning Coach tonight. And as always, remember, make every day an easy day. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. We will see you in a couple weeks.
Have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy all the football this weekend because it's going to be freaking awesome.
It is.
All right.